The main reason for going to the Canadian Rockies is undoubtedly to enjoy some of the fantastic scenery. There are scarily high mountains that stay snow-capped even in June. There are vast glaciers sliding very slowly down the mountainsides, as here on the Columbia ice field. At lower altitudes, the meltwaters lead to waterfalls cascading down precipitous cliffs. These waterfalls in turn feed into gushing rivers, where the water remains an icy blue. There are also noisy rapids to be negotiated on the long way to the ocean. Even when the waters reach the tranquility of Lake Louise, the turquoise colour was maintained because of the light reflecting from the finely ground particles still suspended in the water. The cruise boat trips on Malign Lake had just started for the season, because many of the high lakes still have ice on them until well into June. This is the famous Spirit Island, often used to portray the beauty of the Rockies in travel brochures. Peyto Lake looked even more turquoise from this high vantage point, but the photographer had other interests in his sights. In fact, wildlife spotting, as I hope to show, is the second very good reason for visiting the Rockies. The easiest to spot wild animals are various members of the squirrel family. The commonest and perhaps the most attractive is the Columbian ground squirrel. They stand up meerkat-like to survey their surrounding territory. The behaviour can be very different though in different places and different circumstances. Some will silently face you out as if to say, "This is my territory and I'm not budging," while others will instantly dive for cover and all you're left to view is a hole. Others again will get quite vociferous even if the human is still a long way off, as here. The pile of spoil has come out of the extensive burrow they create that can be up to 30 metres long. I have to suspect that this energetic squealing is when they have young nearby, warning them to take cover. They can certainly put body and soul into their various squeaks, which can evidently indicate the direction of a possible predator, whether it is in the sky or on the ground. The young mature fast, as indeed they have to put on enough weight and fat before they go into their 8 months of hibernation. This fellow eating away merrily is a gold-mantled ground squirrel. And here, gold-mantle ones are joined by the least chipmunk, recognised by its tiny size and the lines on its face. These two breeds are commonly found in the same place, but I could not figure out what game they were playing. The hoary marmot, the largest member of the squirrel family, likes nothing better than sunning itself on a rocky outcrop. Having said that, the next time I spotted one was 8,000 feet up on the top of Sulphur Mountain, where it was hiding under the boardwalk, probably doing a bit of scavenging of whatever careless tourists had discarded. In addition to the different varieties of ground squirrel, there were also various colours of tree squirrels. And this one certainly knew a thing or two about extricating the seeds from a pine cone. Viewings of members of the deer family are likely, especially around both Banff and Jasper, where there are quite large herds. There are a number of varieties, and these ones are elk, also known as wapiti, and they are the second largest member of the deer family after the moose. Like many other wild animals, they go blithely across the road as if traffic did not exist. For their protection, the authorities have set strict speed limits for traffic. And where a main road and the migration paths cross, they have gone even further and built wide overpasses planted with trees and shrubs. The rangers fit tracking collars to selected deer and bears to monitor their movements around the territory. My next deer sighting was on a hot day by a lake, when an elk seemed to be enjoying a paddle while nibbling on a tree. I joined others on the beach in having a swim to cool down, and I wondered if the elk might follow suit. But it seemed to decide that giving itself a shower would be sufficient. The mule deer here was happily grazing in a backyard just across the street from my hotel in Banff. The deer nonchalantly wander through the town streets, feeding on the tasty plants in residential gardens. I got a real surprise one morning in Jasper when pulling back my ground floor bedroom curtain to see a mule deer passing just feet away on its way to joining its companion, who was nibbling away on decorative trees and shrubs. The stags grow soft velvety antlers each spring. I spotted this magnificent beast one evening when I was out for a stroll looking at some of Banff's historic buildings. He seemed to have settled down comfortably for the night. Another quite likely find is the mountain goat. They are agile climbers and can clamber up 60-degree slopes. June was the time that they and some other animals started molting, shedding the thick coat that they needed to survive the severe Canadian Rockies winters. They normally live high up in the mountains, but periodically come down to the roadside at places known as goat licks. It appears that they come to these points to get some minerals from the rocks that they somehow realise they are lacking from their diet higher up. I thought I'd found a new six-legged species here, until the doe moved on, revealing a lovely little kid. Curiously, mountain goats are not strictly members of the goat family, even though they have beards, but they are in fact closely related to antelopes. The adult bighorn sheep, like the mountain goats, are looking a bit scruffy because of their seasonal molting. They too can sometimes be spotted at the roadside, in this case licking salt from the gravel edges. They normally seem oblivious to traffic, but a huge white trailer lorry certainly spooked these two lambs. It is the males of the species that sport the large, curved horns that give the breed its name, but here the rams must have stayed higher up, while the ewes and youngsters have come down for their supplements. Again, they lack traffic sense, and in the peak summer months, for tourists, this can quickly cause animal jams on the roads. Black bears can occasionally be seen beside the road, but you have to be quick, because they seem shy and immediately head for the cover of the neighbouring trees. When in Lake Louise, I was very lucky early one morning, when out for a walk, to spot a grizzly bear across an empty car park. It ambled off, and I left it a few minutes, then crept up to the line of trees it had passed through and was delighted to see a whole family grazing away on a riverside dandelion meadow. I should though have said that I had half expected the viewing, because just before I had seen a calling card. Evidently the expert can decide from examining it what kind of bear is around, but I had not been that curious. I knew that they were grizzlies by the hump of pure muscle on their shoulders. The youngsters seen here may stay 2 or 3 years before they are kicked out and have to find a place of their own. I watched them for several minutes before I decided that I'd probably pushed my luck as far as I should, and left the scene happy. I have not included any bird life, but I did not think I could end without at least a brief look at Canada geese in their native land.